Hi, it's Zoe, and this is my fancy calendar. And I'm going to just show you how I plot out book releases and promotions for a year. This originally came up as um, one of our top 10 do's and don'ts for a presentation that Brenna Aubrey and I did at RWA, Romance Writers of America conference in San Diego. And our point was don't just plan for your next release, but plan for the next year. And the reason why is because, as you see, as I start to plot it out, I mean, a book release only does, it's going to do what it's going to do. You might be able to manufacture, some buzz or some success, but once it dies, a lot of authors really flounder. And they think, oh, that book is never going to recover. Those sales aren't going to do well. There's a lot of really negative psychology that follows a book release. So if your plan is more than the release, if you know even before you release the book that the release is not the be all end all of that book's success, right? Which is one of the hallmarks of indie publishing, that a release is just that. It's just the start of a book's life, right? And books can and do sell forever, particularly if they're part of a series and that series is well promoted. They can continue to, snowball, build reader momentum, and really slowly at first. I mean, if you only have one reader, then it might take you a while to find that second reader, and then that, those two readers turn into four readers, and those four readers turn into eight readers. Anyway, so honestly, I don't worry about releases. I mean, I plan for them and I try and have a professional release, but a release is not the biggest part of my business plan. Okay, so wow, I'm already 2 minutes into the video and haven't even done anything yet. So, well, we've, lost the people who find this boring. Okay, so anyway, so here's my, starting with September 2016, because it's August when I'm recording this, but I'm planning for the next year. So let's start with September and we'll go forward. Okay, can I write and also record at the same time? So what I was trying to demonstrate is that I don't just make one linear list of all of my releases, but I really separate it out by series. All right, so I'm going to start to do some of that. So I need there we go. Okay, good. Okay, so the first series that I'm going to plot out is my Pine Harbor series because it's kind of my premiere series. So I have Pine Harbor number 5 is releasing in September. And I mean, really, this series, I release like a book every 6 to 9 months. So I haven't actually picked a release date for number 6, but I think it's probably going to be 9 months later. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So next June. Yeah, do I want June? Maybe May, somewhere in there. I did May. I did a May release. I quite liked it. Somewhere in here. Pine Harbor number 6. Right? So that's what my release schedule looks like for my first series. And what I was saying is I try to schedule a big promotion right in the middle of that. So I've done a BookBub on the first book twice now. I might try to do it a third time, or I might somewhere here at the end of January, I might consider doing a discount on book number 2. Right, so that would be maybe a BookBub number 2 question mark. Right, so that's my plan for that first series line. So that's Pine Harbor. So my next series that I'm going to put on there is my Seals Undone series. And I will have a new release in both October and November. So that's Seals Undone number 7 and Seals Undone number 8. And the reason why these two releases are back to back is because they were both already released in box sets this summer. And so I will expand those stories and do single title releases those 2 months. And because they've already reached a bunch of readers, again, I mean, like for all of my releases, I don't have like huge expectations for those releases or anything, but there'll be bumps. That would, you know, that should bump up the series. And then oh wait, I think I got that wrong. No, that's 8 and 9. And I think that this is the end of this series. So I don't plan on having any more releases in that series. And so probably my routine for, you know, this after book 9 comes out, that series will just be a backlist series. And so then my, you know, forever going forward plan would be to promo it maybe every 6 months or so, every 3 months, maybe try and get a BookBub or do a push on one of the 9 books for free every 3 to 6 months. So 1, 2, 3. So might try to BookBub in there, right? Like that. So that's Seals Undone. Pine Harbor, Seals Undone. I have another series that's wrapping up, Wardom. I mean, ideally, I would love to say that I'm going to have a Wardom release in January. I don't know whether or not it's possible, but we're going to try. Number 9. There. So put that on the calendar, right? And I should probably write Wardom. And I have Assignment Caribbean Nights, and I will have a release in December. Braden's book. There we go. So I write that there. And then probably 3 months, 1, 2, 3, 3 months after that, I'll try and write Will's. I'll try and put out Will's book. Will's book. Okay. And probably after that, I will want to discount book 1. So kind of I look at my calendar, I'm like, I'm not going to write another book for early summer, I don't think, in that series. So right now, my plan would be to discount book 1 kind of at an equal spacing. Discount book number 1. Right? So Pine Harbor, Wardom, Seals Undone, Assignment Caribbean Nights. I have other series, but as I'm recording this, I mean, it's late and it's almost midnight and I can't think of what my other series are. This is super helpful. But let me just see what I want. Well, okay, so I'm also going to have so next summer, I'm going to have a camp book. Camp Firefly Falls, right? So there'll be a camp release in July. So people were asking me, I talked about you search and you kind of see where the holes are. Okay, so let me grab a different color marker. Okay, so I have a pretty big release in September. They'll be kind of average releases, I think, in October and November. Really, I mean, my alter ego Ainsley, I should probably put Ainsley down here. Okay, so Ainsley has a release. Dr. Bad Boy is down here. And then Dr. Bad Boy. Let me edit Lachlan's book. So Lachlan's book will be here. So that's here, goes there. And I mean, this isn't, if I'm talking about my business, this is an income line, right? These are like, and so they're all kind of equally weighted as income lines. If I'm talking about my brand, then the pink brand is different than the blue brand, right? Blue would be Zoe, pink would be Ainsley. All right, let's get another color though. Okay, so I have new release, new release, new release. New release. Look at that. I have a new release every month to the end of this year. So 2016 is looking great. Hopefully I'll have a new release in January. I won't have one, I don't think, in February, but that would be, so then I would nudge and I'd try and have this BookBub in February and not in January, just so that I have something in February that's a whole. See that? Okay. And then March. Oh, I should have two releases in March. One is Zoe and one is Ainsley, so that would be really nice. And then April is looking like really empty, right? So again, I might move that plan to try and do a book club. Maybe I do. So then in this whole, I wouldn't just do a book bub on Seals Undone, but I might try and do like, call this like Seal Month, right? So, and if I call that Seal Month, then it might extend the release of this Assignment Caribbean Nights book. I might be able to, do some whole promo with both this series and this series in April. So maybe April will be Seals Month. And then May or June, Pine Harbor #6. So depending on, like let's say that it doesn't happen until June, then I did Seal Month in April, then in May I might do like Small Town Month or something like that to try and gear up to Pine Harbor. One of the things that I talked about was, the bigger your platform, then the more it makes sense to use your calendar dates before a release just as much as after. So I could try to do a gear up towards that. Maybe a promo, like a discounted pre-order price. Pine Harbor #5, I am not doing a discounted pre-order price, so I could go back to that with Pine Harbor #6, and then that might goose my total pre-order numbers. Pine Harbor is a series that sells just kind of at a sub-list level, so like a really good Pine Harbor release for me would be pre-orders plus week of sales about 4,000 copies. So if I did a discounted, like if I did a $2.99 pre-order, then that might goose this book onto a list, right? So that's just kind of one little bit of marketing thing that occurs to me as I'm kind of looking at my calendar. So that would be May, gearing up towards that, and discount. Okay, so now that I've just talked about this being Seal Month, so this seems actually a little bit early to discount book one, particularly if I've just promoted the series like just 2 months before, although 60 days can be a long time, but this discount might be more like in July. In which case, because I have a camp book coming up in July, I might want to discount my first camp book, which at this point will be almost a year old, before the release of my second camp book. And then August, at this point, August is really hazy. It's a year away, right? And also summer is kind of slack, but so I'm having trouble visualizing what might happen in August. It's possible that it would be another Ainsley book, so maybe like in addition to camp, which would be on the Zoe brand, July might also be some kind of, that would be kind of my Ainsley focus. But it's kind of hard to know because that's a year away. But that is how I plan out a year in advance, and how when I'm looking at, when I separate my series out like this, and then I look at the year, it affects, because I'm looking at it in like a matrix format as opposed to just a linear list, it starts to shift around when I might book things and plan things and do releases. The other thing is I would look at this and I would be like, okay, I've got a December release here. December is not the greatest month to release. Depending on how this book is going, like if this book might not be done in January, I would move it into February and I would move this into January, because January is typically a stronger month to release than December. So that is in just about 15 minutes, a long rambly explanation of how I plot out my year by series, so that each series has a line. And I didn't actually, because like Camp and Ainsley got kind of mixed up. And there's other books. Like if I put on here my Vikings in Space, because that's going to have that'll have a release in October too. Sometimes I end up with 2 releases in a month, and I don't worry about that. That's not a problem. But what is a problem is a month like April where nothing is happening. So then you need to create a promo event